We are live. Thank you to everybody that's tapped in. Today is Sunday, November 27th, and you are listening to the He Nuh Show on WINN Media 98.9. We are, as usual, live streaming on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Instagram. So tap in if you haven't already. This week, as per usual, we have an amazing guest that's decided to graciously share the studios with us and have a conversation.
Oh, you're making me feel so good.
An entrepreneur, very beautiful young lady, very brilliant, somebody that has decided to shape her own destiny. Alicia White.
Yes.
How are you, ma'am? How have you been?
I am well. Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. Just blessed to be here. From the time ATIBA reached out, it was a number. You know, it's gonna happen.
Off rip.
Yeah.
Off rip.
Told him it's gonna happen, and it's happening, right?
So we are here. But so we wanted to kind of deep dive into, at least for the first half, some of your entrepreneurial journey, right? So I know you do procurement is the best way for me to describe it. But describe for the persons listening what you do.
Okay. Well, the word entrepreneur is the right word, but I tend to add cereal in front of that. Because literally anything that I could sell, I would sell it. Once it makes me a profit, I will sell it. I sometimes tell my son I will sell him too if he don't look sharp. But yes, basically I buy and sell seafood, wild-caught seafood. That is what sustains me and my child at the moment.
Okay. I didn't know you had a son.
Yes.
Okay.
A 16-year-old, which is a very, I know I'm not going to say face because that is the face everybody makes when they hear his age. Yes. I am a result of, or what should I say result? It sounds kind of negative, right? I am a proud ambassador or, an effect of teenage pregnancy. I had my son at 15.
Okay.
So he's now 16 and I'm 31.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's doing well and he's fine and I'm doing well and I'm fine. But
I expect that he's doing well because
Yes.
you're doing well.
yes.
All right.
He's also, as I said, the apple don't fall far from the tree. So entrepreneur and he looking for ways he could make money too.
So he's a hustler as well.
Yeah.
He likes to hustle.
Yeah, once you see it, you gotta get involved.
So, when I think about your journey, I think I vaguely remember you being employed at the bank. Was it? Okay. So, what prompted that transition?
Well, my educational background is finance, banking, and finance. That's what I started studying. I worked at CIBC. I don't know if you could call names here, but I worked at a banking institution for 5 years, and it was so. In the beginning, it was good because it was like, this is what I wanted to do, this is what I've been aspiring to do, and now I'm doing it. But now that I'm here, it's so monotonous.
Yeah.
The banking system is basically no errors every day.
Right.
So you come and you do the same thing without errors, and you're good to go. So it was just that monotonous. It was too monotonous for me, and I was seeing so many different avenues that I could possibly be doing more and making more. I had the mentality that I had my son young. I have some support, but in the end, it would all lie on me financially to take care of him, and I was like, oh my God, that was so daunting to me. Like, what am I going to do? How am I going to get him through school? Because at the time, I'm putting myself through school. How am I going to do this? I had to figure it out. So I was like sitting here doing the same thing every day. You're seeing people's wealth and you see it growing and you're like, oh my God, I want to do this, but sitting here not going to get me there. Right? So I was like, okay, I got an opportunity to go to another institution, which would have, paid me like 1,000 more. And I thought, okay, that's good. I'm moving up 1,000 more. I got 1,000 more to do other things. So I took the opportunity and I went. It was a managerial position. That was good. I learned a lot. I got to travel a bit. But it still wasn't
Same
still
monotony.
wasn't, not that it was the same monotony, because I was basically a management trainee where
Right.
I would move around to all the different departments and learn that department, that in the case that that manager either vacation or not there, I was able to just fill those holes
Right.
seamlessly. And that I did. And, you know, sometimes you think it's what you want, but then when you realize, you know, there's a head and a head and a head, and there's so much red tape in these institutions, it makes it so difficult for the customer. And I have to really believe in what I'm doing to be able to sell it properly and to. So I decided that wasn't for me either. At that time, I got another opportunity. Well, before I'm leaving these institutions, I'm not leaving without a plan.
Right.
Because I still have my child home who needs to be able to be sustained. So I got another opportunity. And this time it was in the hospitality industry, tourism. So I was like, okay, this is totally different. But, you know, I'm still young. This is a good thing. I know the financial field. I know the sales and, you know, procurement field. I know I'm getting the opportunity to learn tourism and hospitality in a managerial position for more. So I was like, I'm going to do it. I took the leap. I did it. I left. Sometimes I regret that move, but still I don't regret it. But yes, I left and I went and I started to work at a small boutique hotel. And I was this sales and marketing executive there. And that went well for a while, you know, until certain things started to happen and I realized, you know, I wasn't going to get far with the management that was there, because the vision that I have, that I thought the management have, they don't anymore, because in the end it comes down to the dollars. So I eventually was now transferred to a different sector of the same company, doing marketing, and it's not my preferred field, but I can adapt, and so I did, and that went well for a while until I started doing my own little thing on the side, because I realized, you know, I have a little extra time and I can do this, and you know, the circumstances of how my business started, it was so organic that I couldn't fight it. I had to just go with it and sell it.
So did it require a significant amount of startup capital in the initial stages?
It did, because I didn't have a relationship with the suppliers yet, so I couldn't get anything credited. I had to have the money up front to get it to me, and then there was the shipping woes, and everything was just a disaster at that time, because I was just before COVID. My business started November 2019. So it was just heading on to COVID, and that time, what do you call it? Below Deck was here, and I got a link there, and that is really how I said, okay, this can work, because they were like purchasing just over and over and over, and they enjoyed the products, and I didn't have a problem. I just supplied them. They got the word out. From one ship left, another one came. They got my contact information, and I was just selling and making money. And I didn't have like a proper business structure, but I just went with the flow at that point, because it was such a good deal at the time.
So for the persons listening, Below Deck is a television program. That is, it essentially documents what life is like on board cruise ship. I mean, yachts, essentially.
Yeah.
So what that looks like, you know, from a crew perspective. Hence the term Below Deck. And you're saying, in relation to that show being filmed here on island, you had the opportunity to do some of the provisioning for those vessels.
Yes.
Okay.
So I was their main supply for all types of seafood and lobster, because the items that I offer to are very unique in a sense that you might not be able to go to the supermarket and find them in the best quality that I would have them in. So let me say that.
Shameless plug.
So, and wild caught at that.
Right.
So, yeah, that turned out pretty well. And when I started to realize, you know, this could potentially be something, I just went with it. And yes, I would say eventually, my work at the institution I was working for did see some performance dropping, but I was okay with that.
So
because
you're saying you had diminishing returns because you were focusing on your own.
Yes. So it was like, what do I do? I was weighing it like, I'm sitting here in this office, unable to do what I want to do that is making me so much money so fast, losing money, and yet I'm sitting here and so much going on with the COVID and the pay cuts and whatever. So I decided I'm going to do it.
So you just took the leap.
I took the leap.
So at this stage when you took the leap, so essentially what I'm hearing is your personal endeavors, you were running those along with your obligations to this entity.
I was doing it like, I was thinking as it like a side thing.
So it was a side
little side hustle. But when it started to get to the point where I need to be able to meet the demands and I can't because I'm stuck in an office, it's like, what do I do?
So the profitability from the side hustle essentially got to a stage where it outpaced what you were making as a monthly salary.
Yes, and
so
especially because at the time, with all that pay cut and
right.
stuff going on, I was like, I'm gonna take the leap at this point. I sat down, I talked about it with my partner, and I told him, this is something that's consumable. This is something that people like. We've seen it. The couple months that I've been doing it, it's been awesome. So this is my entrepreneurial journey that I want to take. Give it 2 years. Give me 2 years. Let me see what I can do with it. Be there for me, support me, and let's see what happens. And
paid off.
He said, okay, I got you. And that was it.
So, I mean, from our recent conversations, you flew out. Was that in relation to your side hustle? The trip that you took recently?
It's no longer a side hustle, no.
Well, your hustle.
Madam CEO. Yes. In a sense, that I did, thanks to the Taiwanese mission and ICDF, they were focusing, after COVID, they were focusing now on females in entrepreneurship, because during the COVID, a lot of people had to, ended up doing a lot of survival businesses.
Right.
But out of that, it was just that they didn't have the structure in place, or they didn't even have the know-how to sustain it after COVID. So they are focusing on females in entrepreneurship, having a lot of trainings and forums for us to learn and develop the businesses that we're thinking is just side hustles.
Right.
They can become something really huge.
Make them more viable.
Yeah, and then from the trip now I realized the reason why, but we're going to get there. So I went through that training. It was a 6-week training in food and beverage because my business is in food. So of that cohort, I was the top participant, and I did receive a grant from them, which I used to further add capital to my business.
Big moves.
It was. I'm telling you, it was a super comprehensive program. Even though some of the things that I've already been through, I already know, and I've already been exposed to. It was just awesome what they put together, from intellectual property rights to branding to marketing to accounting, bookkeeping, how to get a loan. They had speakers coming from ECCB, from Ministry of Small Business. It just ran from everything that you need to make sure that your business is sustainable.
Right. So at this stage, you feel like you're at a place where you can begin to scale?
Yes, I do feel that way. And I have some things working on, hopefully in the near future. It pans out, but sooner or later I will be having a storefront where you can actually come and get your seafood fresh or frozen.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Some things in the making, and it's coming together. I actually just placed some orders for my display freezers and stuff for that, like that. So
nice.
Yeah, it's working out. I don't want to just it too long,
Yeah.
but it's coming together, and I'm feeling very excited, and So
So the question that I have hearing do you feel like entrepreneurship is a journey that everyone can take?
No, I don't think so.
So what do you feel like are some of the prerequisites in terms of disposition, an individual's disposition that would make them equipped to be a good entrepreneur?
For me, I think being in corporate for a while is definitely a plus. Making those connections, definitely a plus. Knowing where to go and who to go to and how business works on the inside.
So networking, having
that idea of how things work in the business world is a plus for you. Having that knowledge is vital to knowing where to go to sell what you want and knowing your market.
Because it allows you to make the right connections.
Right.
Okay.
Right. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't even know where to turn.
How to navigate.
What to do. So definitely networking. Passion, persistence, determination, knowing that it's only you, nobody else is going to do it.
Nobody coming to save you.
No, not a soul, boy. So everything you got to do yourself, like down to even just, creating a graphic to build a website or, just the nitty-gritty, the basic things, everything you have to do. Whereas when you're working for somebody, you could subtract and stuff. Do this for me and send it and the company pay you or whatever, but you got to save those coins to be able to pour it into your business. So you have to now become everything.
Right.
And for me, that I was just, lucky that I worked in marketing, I worked in finance, I worked in hotel and tourism. So those all ended up
coming together
to create me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the name of your business?
Oh gosh, we didn't even do that. What's wrong with me? I always do that. So the plug for Wild Caught Seafood is Seafood Supply SKN on all platforms: Instagram, IG, TikTok. Seafood Supply SKN. There are the links in bio if you want to head to the website and place an order, or if you want to just reach out by WhatsApp. It's the number is 7600873. Yeah. So check that out, and if you're a seafood lover, you definitely need to check me, your girl.
That's your plug.
Yeah.
So how you feel about having, as an entrepreneur, like work-life balance? You think that exists for an entrepreneur?
It does, but I don't think in the beginning it doesn't, because you have to push so hard to get everything done. It has that viral TikTok audio that says, you went from working a 9 to 5 to now working 24/7.
Yeah.
It was like that in the beginning when I wasn't sure how to balance it, but it was the same when I was in corporate as well. So I had no balance. Anyways. So when I finally, grasped a couple of things and, came through the I won't say humiliating, but the humbling side of things, where I realized everything I have to do, have to go out on the side of the road with my coolers, do my little pop-up shops, get people to understand what I have, and like the product, I had to give it some things free. I had to run up and down with samples and, do those things. And when you pour into your business, you build on it, and you start to see the fruits of your labor, then you could relax a bit and say, hey, I'm doing okay. Now I could really, enjoy myself, because my time, I'm the ruler of my time now.
Yeah.
Me have anybody to answer to. Anything I want to do, I can do, as long as now I have my business secured and running. Even if I take a trip, it's online. You can still order and it still comes to you at the same time. It might not be me making the delivery, but I set that up so there's continuity.
Right.
So, but we were at the attributes of entrepreneurship. Yeah. So as I said, discipline for sure, knowing that everything has to get done and it's only you, nobody coming to save you, so get it done. Whether you feel like doing it or not, get it done.
One of the things that I see a lot is I see a lot of young persons who position themselves as entrepreneurs, and it might be maybe a hair care business, or buying and reselling items, whatever those items are, whatever your hustle looks like. But I also see these same persons at every event. So every party that is organized, they're there. And I'm wondering, how does your business survive if you are making those expenditures? Was that something that you were able to do while you were building? Party and...
No, it was not. I was not able to do that. I mean, I like going out. I like nice things. I like going to nice places. But when I started my business, I realized, you know, some things had to be sacrificed.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was the appeal wasn't even there for me anymore. I was like, my time can be used better, making money. So it's like, no, all that's in my mind is making money.
So it's a different mindset.
Yeah, it's a different mindset. Even after I left corporate, and you know, I got requests for people to come and work for them, but the mindset don't change. It's like I gone in before I would go into an interview and I'm scared. Like, you know, you're interviewing me, I want your job or whatever, but I realized I going into the couple interviews I went to after, and it's like, you want me, so let me know what you're saying. And it got to be flexible for me to be able to continue my business. If it's not measuring up to what my business is offering me right now, I can't do it.
Right.
You know, so it's now like they got to come good to me because I'm not afraid.
Yeah.
I have something that I know is working and I can always continue, you know, so the mindset definitely changes. Even if I do go out, all I'm looking for is an opportunity to talk to somebody about my business, to make a sale,
So even going
to
out is a
raise
networking
awareness.
event.
Yes, to
Yeah.
raise awareness, or to find a way that I can plug my stuff into your menu. You know.
You know, so the question that I asked initially, I feel like there are persons that are wired that way. I almost fail to believe that persons can evolve to that stage. I think you have to be wired with that level of independence. That
Hungriness.
that hunger, that willingness to, you know what I mean, grind through it because
Yeah.
it's hard.
It might also be, you know, your environment and how you grew up, you know, what you see and what you've been through and what you're trying to aspire to.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if you had adversity early on, then that adversity
Could give you
early,
purpose.
right? Could give you that purpose.
give you
and
purpose.
give you that drive.
Definitely.
And teach you to value things that we usually kind of disregard as youth. When you're young and everything comes easy, but if you have a massive amount of responsibility from very early on, then it changes your mindset, it wires you differently. So I can see that.
Yeah, and I kind of realized too, from listening to you speak, you almost didn't have like a plan B. You just focus on plan A all of it.
Yeah, I did not.
It's almost like you, I think what a guy named Tony Robbins, he talk about like burning your raft. Like you're burning the raft, so you're going to stay on this island and you're going to make it walk, you know?
Definitely. A couple times, like, you know, I sit down and 1 month ain't go so good. And it's stressing me out. Even though, you know, I have a support, it's like, you still want to meet your target. But it ain't work out this month. And the next month it ain't work out. And now you got to roll over those two deficits to the next month. And I'm like, okay, I start to update my resume. To send out. And I'm like, what are you doing, girl? What are you doing? What are you doing?
You know what I find to be
Get scared.
very, very interesting, right? In the journey, the entrepreneurial journey,
yeah.
sometimes when you start, you really don't know what's going to happen. And after you start developing a momentum, it just starts to feel like things just falling in place.
Yeah, definitely. Wow, you just said it. Like that's the high I'm on right now. I feel like things are just working out for me right now because I've stuck to the journey. And I do mentoring for ICDF currently.
Okay.
So the trainee I was just talking to, she's like at that place where I was at like maybe like a year and a half ago. She's at like, she's disappointed in herself. She's not doing this. She's not doing that. She's not follow up. So I had to tell her, you know, the journey is just as important. The process is just as important as the final result, because you would never understand it properly until you go through that process. If I wasn't going through things and failing and then coming back and doing it different and better, it wouldn't be as rewarding for me as it is now. So the journey is really just as important. The failures are just as important as the wins.
Right.
Honestly, it just makes the wins so much better. So just going through all of that, dealing with ICDF, and then being able to now be sent off to Taiwan for more training, because they see the potential in my small business. It's just amazing. It's just amazing to see that now I have usual customers who I don't even have to question. I know they want what they want on a monthly basis. So that's like this feeling of security right there.
Right.
You know that you're gonna make at least this amount every month, because this set of customers believe in your product and they've already integrated it into their lives and their family. So you're set for at least here. So now it's time to grow. It's time to, what else can you do? It's kind of like now it's more like on autopilot, and now you have to find a way now to give yourself some more challenge, because sometimes I'm sitting there and I'm like, everything just happening. Well, what else
So I guess you improve on the business structure then. So you can have something like they just have standards in place, so everything is kind of flow whether you're there or not.
Yeah, whether I'm there or not. All I have to do, and that's another thing when I decided to actually go full stream with it, is that I told myself it's not too difficult. It's basically buying and selling, which is the basis of business. Be able to buy something and resell it at a profitable price.
Right.
It's not a difficult product. I don't have to get raw materials together to make it, to sell it. It is what it is. I just have to make sure that where I'm getting it, it's certified, the quality is good, the storage is up to regulation, the time it gets here, the shipping and packaging, everything.
Right. So sourcing
easy.
and distribution.
Right.
Yeah.
Easy.
So-
Find my market, turn it over fast.
So you mentioned in the beginning you had a conversation with your partner about it. So how important it is to have like a partner on board as an entrepreneur, because like you said, it's like 24/7. So there's a lot of balancing has happened in terms of even the relationship, in terms of the regular like standard mode of operations of a relationship, like going out, having date nights and stuff like that. So how important it was for you to have like a partner on board?
Honestly, if he wasn't on board, I'd probably be still toughing it out where I was, because I would be scared. I would have been super scared, especially with a teenager at that point where he just eats, basically. I would have been scared. I don't think I would have taken it up to this level, So his support is invaluable to me. And he knows that. So, but balancing it wise, there was a point in time where, it did affect things, because I'm trying to prove myself now. I'm trying to prove that I could carry my part of the deal, and, you've been carrying it for a while, and I'm feeling stressed now because you're feeling stressed. So I want to make sure that, I living up to my half of the deal. So when I think about it, it's just like, if I did not have his support, I would not have jumped so deep, honestly. But date nights and stuff like that was something that we always did. It did get a little wavy at some points in time, but we did manage to maintain that, and we do manage well. Right now it's a little off because of all the travel and everything, and the time of year. This time of year he's off limits, and I have to just respect that.
Yeah.
Because his job is very demanding, so I can't do anything about that one. From December hits, from like end of November, that's it for him.
So y'all have both demanding careers, essentially.
Essentially.
Wow.
And I do everything. I even deliver, which is something that I love. to do, because delivery allows me the face-to-face connection with my customer. That is something that is very important for me. Eventually I'm going to have to stop, but I like that because I'm able to talk to them, find out what's going on in their life. Even though upsell, even though I really want to say it on the ear, I actively engage in conversation to know what's going on with them. Once I know what's going on, then I could know where I need to plug in myself. If they say, oh, my daughter this, and she graduated, and we're gonna have a little get together, I'm like, oh, okay, well, when is that? And then by the 2 days before I done, let me know 2 days before I done WhatsApping you. So you think I remember you said whatever you think you're gonna need.
But that's convenience, so it's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing, but I don't want them to hear it. That's what
you don't want them to hear that you're being convenient.
Yes, the conversation is very sincere, guys.
But yeah, I mean,
knowing your customer is very important.
It is very important. And we often hear that customer service is a terrible thing in St. Kitts.
Yeah.
Like, we don't value customer service. What do you see is the fundamental importance of customer service? You spoke about building that connection, especially that face-to-face connection with the customer. But how do you see that serving your business, especially as it relates to scaling and growing and making your operation a little bit more efficient?
Well, when you're dealing with something like food, customer service has to be top class, because there are options and they will execute them if you don't have the level of customer service that they're looking for or they want to feel when they're buying food. It's different when you're buying other products. Think about it. When you're buying food, you get a little more anxious than if you're going and you're buying maybe a headphone. Right? So it has to be very...
The connection is different.
Yeah, the energy has to be very good for them to trust you.
Right.
And for that to happen, the customer service has to be on point.
So buying food from an individual is based on trust. It's a trust relationship.
It's based on trust, because now you're eating it.
Right.
You're feeding it to your family. You're feeding it to your pets, because some people do that, by the way. You're feeding it to your guests when they come over. I mean, so the trust has to first develop.
So what's your approach?
What's my approach? My approach in the beginning was pop-up shops. Educating people on the product, the lifeline of it in terms of the freshness, the packaging, and delivery. And they actually seen me and actually using the products that I do sell, and posting that. So that helps to build trust a lot. And being on time, respecting their time in terms of getting it to them when they want it. So that definitely helps to build trust. And as well as saying what it is, where it's from, and the particulars in terms of the weight, the taste, just giving them an explanation of what they're looking for. What they're looking for, I have. Yeah. So honesty with the product.
I'm gonna ask you a question. You could choose whatever you want to answer tonight, because this is not an interrogation.
Plead the fifth.
But was there ever a moment where you had to almost you understood it generally, but had to fake it till you make it?
Yes. Yep. Definitely. I even told my trainee today, girl, just pretend. Just pretend until you don't have to pretend anymore. There was a point after the Bido Deck crew left, there was a lull. So it was like, ooh, there's a high, it's working. These people keep buying my stuff, and then they left. So now I have to find my market, find the people here who want what I have. So I was like, how am I going to do that? I started to pop up on the side of the road just to gauge like who stops and who knows what I have and who's interested in this. I went to a couple of local stuff and I realized, it wasn't happening for me there. So, I went a little further. I went over to Frigate Bay and stuff like that, and I realized, okay, these products go better with expats and the raw students, because it's something that they're accustomed to at home in the US, and then they get here and a lot of things you can't find here.
Right.
So I realized where my market was, and I started to push that. But at the time I didn't have the market yet. So I had to fake it and make it seem like, it's this sought after item.
Right.
This time I barely gained sales. Yeah, so I had to be like, okay, cook it, present it, photo it, and post it and say, client made it, or do it myself. I had to make start to build the vibe myself. I barely gained sales. So
So something you had to cook your own product, huh?
Cook my own product and make it seem like it's selling like hot bread and butter.
Nice.
Until it started to sell like hot bread and
Until
butter.
it started to sell like hot bread and butter. Yeah.
By any means necessary, I like that.
So sometimes you just have to pretend. Even like sometimes I go out to people. I stop at restaurants and different places, and I email people. I send proposals, and you don't get a response. You call them. You're trying to be persistent, and they're making you feel like you're begging them.
But I would like to say that what you did wasn't necessarily pretend. From you're almost like presenting the vision, like this is what it could be like, and then really like pretends. But even though I understand, you fake it till you make it. But some people actually like totally fake it, but they have no real interest in the product that they're trying to like put forward or the service. But you actually had an interest. You're doing your homework, so you had information, but you just had to fake it to get into the positions to have the conversations, and then you could present yourself.
Yeah.
So you did have stuff in line, but you had to kind of fake that part when you like presenting the vision.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Because I remember seeing all them pictures and I was like, wow, boy, I don't need lobster, but a lobster was good, boy.
But she touched on something just now that for me I see as a major deterrent in the entrepreneurial journey, and it's that you don't receive the buy-in that you think you should be getting, right? Our persons aren't as engaged, or even when you reach out to persons, their response isn't ideal. It's not what you would want it to be. It can be very deflating at times.
Yeah.
What?
Right? And that is where the persistence is required. No, that persistence is almost a superpower, because a lot of persons can't persevere through that.
Yeah.
Like people telling you no.
Tough skin.
You hear that all the time, like, okay, sometimes it takes 9 no's before you get to the 10th one, and the 10th one is the yes. But sometimes, my bandwidth might be 4 no's.
Yeah, and imagine me bouncing around with my car with samples of fish and seafood, just trying to get you to come out to my car to see them, to see if you want. And no, I don't. No, I bounce into the kitchens, talk to the chefs, friendly with the chefs. If I have something, I just send a WhatsApp, hey, you think you might be able to use this? And bam. So in the beginning, it was humbling.
Yeah.
It was humbling because it was like, oh God, I'm going to go try to sell fish. How we're going to do this? How we're going to say this? Like, I consider myself a little hot girl, and then you're trying to sell fish.
So what made you trust the process to that degree, though? Was it the fact that you didn't give up on corporate, so you still had that gainful employment while still trying to build this thing. So what would you say was the main driving force? What drove that persistence?
The main driving force would have to be thinking about that college tuition for my son. Yeah, thinking about making sure that he's okay.
Okay.
Because I'm basically a single mom doing it on my own. That was the persistence. And it might sound cliche, but coming through teenage pregnancy, then going back to school, then finishing, then getting a job, then got this little boy who everybody, considers your brother. it was a lot to come through for me
Right.
as a person,
Right.
especially the way that things happened. So I grew tough skin from there, and I don't know if you know me, or my family, or my biological family, and the trials and tribulations that we've been through, and me being the youngest, kind of taking that on my shoulders and feeling like I'm the one that's supposed to resolve it in the end, and then ended up with a child at such a young age. Determination to just finish school and get through it, I think, is enough of a booster for me right now.
So would you say you had a chip on your shoulder? So was there a point in time, especially knowing that those were the circumstances, where you felt like people might not expect you to succeed, or the dynamic has been set in such a way that most persons won't succeed, but you have to succeed? Was that a chip that you had on your shoulder, where you had to
Yes.
succeed because of those circumstances?
Yes. It was like, I have no choice. I have to do it. Like, I want a life. I want a good life. I want to be able to travel and enjoy good food and give my son things that, I didn't grow up too bad, but things that I never had or experienced, or what I thought at the time would have been, good parenting. But now I see some things it ain't really that way, because, giving him that PS, what you call it?
Five.
PS5 and them things there was the worst thing I could do in my life. He don't have it no more. He ain't even see it for 2 years. So he's just, learning, but giving him all them things, everything he asked for, that was like my goal. Like, I got him so young, and people might be thinking, honestly, I thought about what people think, but in general, if you know me and my style, I really don't care.
You already passed that.
I passed it. I've passed it. That situation with my son, getting him so young, from there, I got over that fast.
It's 16 years now, so
I'm telling you, I got over that outlook of people putting a stigma on me fast. So the rest of my life has been pretty okay, because I don't care what anybody thinks. I just live for me and for him.
And he's even chipping in now, right, into the business.
Yeah, man. I gave him a business of his own. Actually, we're actually SKN 360 photo booth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so my son is the one.
360 photo
Yeah,
booth
the
is-
360 photo booth, SKN 360, the
Okay.
first and official 360 photo booth on the island of St. Kitts and Nevis.
And he manages and operates that.
I do the managing and the books and the bookings, and he does the heavy work. He does the,
Setting
getting
up
ready,
and-
setting
right.
up, operating, customer service, which, everybody says, oh my God, your son is the best. Like, they just love him when he comes to the events, and I've seen him in action.
Well,
He
I mean,
better than me.
It's crazy, mind blown right now, because I know persons, like I see it in people snaps all the time, where they're standing up and, you know what I mean? You know the 360 photo booth.
yeah. But then
I
no.
see it all the time. I just didn't know that was your energy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, kudos. That's a big move.
Yeah, definitely, and that was as a result of, being an entrepreneur and being able to manage my own time, manage my own destiny, travel, see things, get the ideas, and that's why I keep telling people, like, when you get into that entrepreneurial mindset, traveling is the best thing you could do.
Yeah. Yeah, because you get exposure.
To so much things that you didn't even know going on in this world,
Right.
that
right.
you could just easily bring back home and make money.
And you know what I think? I think entrepreneurship, like the real diehard entrepreneurs would relate. Entrepreneurship is a bug, because once you're an entrepreneur at heart, you have several ideas running concurrently in your head.
All the time.
And you have to compartmentalize and isolate and say, okay, right now, any time for that,
Yeah.
I'm going to do this first,
Difficult
get this
though.
one in, and then once this one in, on to the next
On
one.
to the next thing. That's how you serial entrepreneur me, I will sell anything, but traveling helps that, because if I wasn't traveling, I wouldn't be able to see things and pick up that. And you go away and everybody's on this 360. This is big thing. Ain't even hit the island yet, and I can't get on it because them places too much people. So you go to a party and you want to do it, but you can't get to it because so much people in the lines, and man, I'm like, okay, let me look up this. Let me see. Let me look at my business bank account. Man, idiot, it could do. Take my time, research it, learn it. Watch so much YouTube. YouTube in itself is a whole university. Oh, yeah, I love it. Yeah. Research, see why gun cost me. Not in on the island yet. I know for sure it's trending, and I know for sure it's going to reach there soon. I reach out to a couple promoters and I say, hey, what do you think about this, blah, blah, blah. They're like, yeah, I like this. Not that I let people decide what I'm going to do, because since I've been an entrepreneur, I realize you really can't do that either.
But it's almost like the feasibility study, seeing if it makes sense.
Yeah, the market research to say,
right,
can it work? I tell myself, you're going to go peak and then you're going to go a little. But at the same time, once you don't get back your money, you're good. You're going to just be free money after that. You can't lose. And when you get fed up, you could always just sell it. Yeah. So I talked to my son. I say, you want to work? That's what I tell you want to work? I'll pay you for every job you do.
So how long that has been in operation now?
I got it in February of last year.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's still going strong. We were the first, so we built a lot of relationships before other people came on stream. So to this day, everybody goes to us. Well, for me, I feel like we get a lot of engagement still, and once we can't do it, then they get somebody else, but they always most likely come to us first.
Well, I mean, it's always a good thing when you're overcommitted, especially in business.
Definitely, but for this in particular, it's not something that I'm looking to expand in, because I feel like it's like a trend and then it will die out. So it's not something we're looking to expand in, but we're just riding the wave.
Yeah, just maintain it.
Yeah, just maintain.
So what we call it is like a finite type of thing, right? Versus being an infinite.
Right.
Yeah, like just passive.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it comes, it comes. It's not something we really stressing about, especially because my son is in his 5th form year now. And he has a much heavier plate of things to do. We did some subjects last year, so we dropped down the plate a little bit. But for some reason, this year, he has just became an athlete. I mean, I know athletics runs in my bones and in my blood and in my family, but he has always just been more of a computer, video game, introvert kind of guy. And this year, 5th form, different guy. Now he playing sports. Now he going Mexico next week. Go play sports for St. Kitts. I mean, it's like, who is this guy?
He just started sports.
And he just started. He started playing volleyball. From the volleyball, handball seeked him out. So now he playing handball, and they're going, now we go play handball.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And then last week he told me, Mommy, I got a basketball game. I was like, oh, basketball? So I went down to the court to see what's going on, to see if something he gonna be wasting his time. Me want him wasting the time on, and he could be doing something else. Didn't look too bad, but I tell him maybe we can hold on the basketball, cause basketball okay, but where can it get us? And that's always my thing. Where can it get us?
So what's your approach to parenting? Let's sidestep from the entrepreneurship. What's your approach to parenting? Because why I ask, so let me preface it. And we grew up, so we know how parenting is traditionally done. Most parents feel like they have the control. You have to listen to everything they say up until the time that you're 21. Is that your approach to parenting, or do you have a more collaborative approach to how do you?
That's definitely my approach.
Do what I say?
Yep, that's how it goes. But my son has never been the type to step out of line or have me hammer anything in his head. You know what I mean? It's just always been this cool mutual relationship where he just does what he has to do. the only problem I have with him is really dishes. But I have that problem too. So
ain't girls yet.
huh?
No girls yet.
Don't even get me started on that. That just started to become an issue for me because I don't want you to be messing with somebody's child at this pivotal moment in her life where she should really be focusing on school.
Okay.
And I don't want you to be interested in somebody who is willing to sidestep studying school. So if it means that she gonna be calling you 10 o'clock in the night, that ain't the one for us. We ain't doing that right now.
How do we make that determination though? Because
By taking away the phone.
no, what I'm saying is, when you're young, you don't necessarily have the bandwidth. Most persons, at least, don't necessarily have the bandwidth or the focus to realize that, hey, this is a mistake. Especially if you don't have the proper guidance. So oftentimes, that kind of thinking comes from parents. Your parent has imparted that, and they have told you, listen, right now ain't the time for boys or girls, you know, so let's slow down, that time will come. But there are a lot of parents who are very laissez-faire. They don't necessarily pay attention to their child's sexual development. So is it fair to say that a girl who is interested in your son and is committed to getting to know him in that way might be a bad girl overall?
At this point, I'm not saying she's a bad girl, but I'm just saying her focus might influence him.
Okay.
And he's not very strong on influence, I've realized. I know my child.
Okay.
He would be easily influenced
Okay.
because he's been only with me,
Right.
and I've been very protective of that. So he basically just grew up around me and me and me. So I think he has had that problem with influence. You know, he would easily follow the girl.
Right.
So when I take away the phone at night when he comes home from school, you put your phone on the counter. That prevents that. Before, when I realized what was happening and I spoke to him, I explained to him just that. I said, at this point in time, this is what your focus should be and her focus should be. This is where I need you to get because I can't foot it on my own. So I need you to do what you have to do so we could have the leverage to get a scholarship or something. If the young girl wants to talk to you at 10 o'clock in the night, then I will be talking to her parent and telling her parent her child is calling my child, and I don't want that. So I explained all of that to him and let him know, then this isn't the girl that, you know, you should be trying to talk up to right now. But I don't know how else he gets to communicate because I'm very sure he does. But at least the phone.
DM in the Instagram.
At least the phone is here, but I try my best to occupy his time. Have things for him to do at every tick of the clock until he worn out, and then all he could do is bram, drop, sleep.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know that's a natural part of the process.
I know it is a natural part of the process, and we have had discussions about it. He did tell me some things that I didn't like that happened, but I realize I can't fight that. I have friends who are in the medical field, and you know I've spoken to them, and they've given me pointers on what to say and what to do and what's going to happen. And plus, I have my partner, who is a male, and he could talk to him about those things. So, but.
And shoot him some bail too when he get in trouble.
They have their own secret language, so they don't tell me some things, and I don't mind because
You trust your partner?
I trust him, and it's very uncomfortable for me, and I don't want to make my son feel like it's an uncomfortable thing. You know, it's something natural that happens. So it's easier to allow him to take some of those things and deal with that, because I don't know how I can say certain things, you know?
And I mean, it's good that he has a positive male influence as well. You know, so it's not just mommy. Because, like you said, there are certain things that I don't think women are able to appreciate in relation to the masculine development.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
Some of the things you said too is almost, it kind of breaks the narrative that, people let the boy children kind of just float and just go. But now we're in it on a different way now. Like you actually like look at him and teach him principles and stuff like that.
And it ain't just principles. It's not like the tight rain. It's
Yeah,
not like
yeah.
the rain tight.
Yeah, but I've always felt like I had him young and I wasn't sure what to do and how to go and how to approach it and if to be more his friend. I've tried that for a while and then I realized the backlash of that. I tried giving him everything he wanted to make him happy, but now that I'm a little more mature, it just had to change. It just had to be a different way because I don't know how to explain it. It's just like you see him growing,
Right.
you realize you've done something and it was not the best thing.
Yeah, I mean,
so shift fast.
his development will always require a different version of you as a parent. So as he evolves, you need to evolve. And it is at this stage, I believe, that he requires a firm influence, somebody that he respects first and foremost. Because, like, it's just like when we had teachers going to school, you learn better from the teacher that you respect. The teacher that you kind of see as, kind of goofy.
Yeah.
you just don't really mess with that subject. You're comfortable with skipping the classes. So I know that type of way. It's the same thing. I have a daughter she's now 15. She's now 15. And it's the same dynamic. Where, as a parent, I have to be a little bit more flexible now and appreciate what she's going through. And we have conversations. So I think that's what it is. It's just as parents, I think parenting is an evolving process.
Yeah.
And when we were growing up, I think parenting was seen as just a rigid, stagnant, consistent way of being. And I don't think that works. I don't think you can say, okay, this is the type of parent I am. I don't think
definitely.
parenting is one way. I think as your child becomes, because when you're parenting a 4-year-old, it's totally different to having a 16-year-old child.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I mean, having him like so young, right? You could easily fall trapped into trying to become a friend because
There was a period I was just trying to make him happy and just for us to be friendly, and I realized that can't work.
Well, some parents go over the top, like even with including the children in every gossip, everything that are going on around them, and like really make them like their friend, versus like parenting, and showing them and teaching them principles, protecting them and stuff like that. It's just like, no, that this person is my friend. I depend on that. They call it, they train for every single thing, and it's just like, at least you see, I could tell him from you how you speak about it is almost like, no, you are parenting, you're guiding, and you're really conscious about it.
And now that he's 16, it's so much easier now, that you've put in that kind of elbow grease, as people might say. I basically tell people my child is on autopilot now.
Yeah.
I give him a bike. He knows his schedule. He gets to where he got to get on time. He does what he has to do. He comes home, he shifts. When he needs a little assistance in terms of me dropping him and he not using the bike, he lets me know in advance, because I always tell him, man, just sitting here waiting on you.
Right. So we have to communicate.
Yes, you have to let people know when you need help and support in advance. So he does what he has to do, and he comes home. I never had problem with not finding him. Not like the other day, he decided to go play basketball, and he told me he was going to practice, but it got to like 6:00. I wasn't sure which court it was, because he wasn't sure either. That was the first time he was going. He told me it was in Greenlands, but in my mind, I didn't really think about it. I was like, okay. But then when it came 6:00, I realized, look, my phone, you're not from me, main thing. Me ain't sure which court it be. I calling him, he answering the phone. I started to panic. I was like, but this ain't my child, So I called my partner. I was like, I don't know what he is, and I start cussing because, he know me like this. You need to communicate. So finally, when I find him, he tell me my phone died and da-da-da, and I tried getting somebody's phone to call you, and then I got lost in the game, and it's like, you still had me worried. And when, I'm talking to him and I'm telling him that, he's smiling. And he smiling. He's like, Mommy, man, now you love me like this. I like, boy, not because I trust you. and I let you do what you have to do, means that, me have what you're doing in my head and making sure that you're all right or whatever. Not because you're growing older, these things will get me worried if you don't communicate.
Right.
So that in itself was a moment for me. I was like, this child, he feel like me ain't onto him though. He feel like me ain't tracking his movements. Yeah.
So I have a sidebar question. So let's say in an alternate universe, right? Your son was to come home and say to you, Mommy, I have something I need to tell you. I have a girlfriend. I had a girlfriend, and I had her for a little while. I just didn't tell you. And I just found out that she's pregnant. And she is 6 months pregnant. How would you respond to that situation?
Lordy. I've thought about this so much times. And because of what I've been through, I've given it so much thought. Especially when he, would tell me, well, he does joke about it. That he got a girlfriend or whatever. I've never seen one. I've never, he's always on the phone. But them children are always on the phone these days more than you. But I've thought about it. And I would definitely be more supportive than anything else.
Okay.
Because when I went through what I went through, if the support wasn't there, I don't know what I would have done. I think I probably would have turned to, suicide or something, because it was definitely a lot on me.
Right.
And the support that I got from my adopted mom, it was everything.
Yeah. So you got through to the darkest times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I wouldn't want to add that level of stress to the situation.
Well, it doesn't seem like it's heading in that direction. It was a hypothetical.
No,
and we do hope
it is
that it does not.
Not heading in that direction at all. I hope.
Miss White, we are at the end of the show.
You lie.
Believe it or not. Everybody says that. Every guest says they can't believe that we're already done.
We actually
That's
over time.
crazy.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So, to everybody that's been
my
tapped
God.
in, we appreciate you spending this time with us, committing this time to listening to us every Sunday.
Definitely.
We've had Alicia White.
Happy anniversary in the business.
We've had Alicia White in studios with us. Just
Oh my God, we are in
chopping it
November.
up, giving
That
us
is so true.
some energy. So, to everybody that stopped in, remember the socials. Remember we are live streaming on YouTube, on Instagram, and on Facebook. We shall be here next week for another amazing show. Thank you for listening. Enjoy your upcoming week and have an amazing evening.
You found the sound. 98.9 WINN FM.